17 years old, I left home and lived with a man who was 12 years older than me, who was a man in comparison. He was very controlling, very, what I learned later to be narcissistic. And my introduction to womanhood was that of being degraded and not having self-love and self-criticizing and self-doubt and self-respect, really, like losing all of those. Um, and then when I moved away from that relationship, I was already 21. And then I moved into other relationships that were giving me the same. And I accepted that because that was what I knew. And for me, it was almost like dimming my light, giving up my dreams, putting my everything into this person, whether it was a thing of the times or whatever, doesn't really matter. In fact, it's not, because I see it all the time. So women, they adjust, they please, they perform. And when they're successful and they've built whatever it is in their work, in their career, but their own identity, their own femininity, their own womanhood can sometimes be blocked in those things that have been happening. And I went and then and worked in a male dominated area, like in an industry. It was transport. Yes, it was a limousine company, but it was still transport. And it was very male dominated. You know, can I speak to your boss, please? Well, I am the boss. No, your boss. The only boss is my mother, and she can't do anything to help you. You know, it was very challenging. It was like you were always having to fight for acknowledgement and appreciation and just acceptance of who you were. And so, you know, we as women, we adjust, we're people pleasers, we perform, we're the nurturers, you know, all of those things. But um, there's a certain level of our strength that we wouldn't be where we are today if it wasn't for that. And because of that strength and that protection, um, we've sort of pulled ourselves away from some of the things we might go for. For me, a lot. Like just settling because someone chose me, like just ignoring all those flags and continuing on. 17 to 21, we can use the excuse of naivety and youth, and then 28 when I got married. And don't get me wrong, my marriage was great. You know, there was very good parts about my marriage in the beginning, and there were still good parts about it after that, but I just totally lost my identity, who I was, the manipulation, all of it. And it needs to stop. It has to stop. And even though we know sometimes it started when we were younger, you know, dimming our light a little bit because people said things like, Kaz, you've always got to have the last word. You're very opinionated. You always want to speak your piece. You always want to talk about your successes. Dim that down. Don't talk about it. Make it into nothing. And put other people before you and praise other people for their successes. And that did me no good. That saw me letting go of my dreams and following other dreams, other people's dreams, and feeling I needed to do that and give everything. Yes, I know these are red flags, but this person, I really like this about them. So I'm sure with time we'll be able to work it out together. We're girls, we're women. What do you expect? Has to stop. When you make a decision that it needs to stop, you don't always realize that you've been sabotaging yourself so much until you really start to stop shrinking, stop feeling that you're not worthy, or stop feeling like you've never experienced love, and get into what it is that you want. and how you want to feel. I had to do that. I did that in my 60s, and I hope none of you wait that long, but if you have, it's never too late. So I'm going to be talking about what happens for loads of women, especially in my programs, about midway through when we start to break down some of those things that they don't want. They don't want to experience. Acknowledge them and appreciate them. See it makes them who they are. And let's move forward with that, with what you do want. And when we do that, the change is amazing. I'm going to talk into that in the next one. This is a series, one of 3.